This is Janine's piece entitled The Hidden City. And thank you to Janice Ruggles-Bolton, who took photos of all of these. The light isn't quite right, but you'll get to enjoy them following the service today. Once Jesus was asked by the Pharisees when the kingdom of God was coming, and he answered, "The kingdom of God is not coming. Look, here it is. It is amongst you." One of the classic journeys of the Judaic Christian tradition is in search of the kingdom of God. It's a noble search, is it not? For a group of peasants in the Middle East who were constantly being oppressed and pummeled by the larger lords of the empire. It was an admirable longing for the kingdom of God where justice would reign and the poor would no longer be trampled in the dust. That longing is at the heart of the Judaic tradition. It is at the heart of the cries of the prophets. It is a way of reminding those on this planet that creation isn't finished yet and will not be finished until each one on the planet can sit and dine at the table experiencing the abundance of life's riches. Yet Jesus says as well, the kingdom is also to be sought within. Tom has offered this poem. I shall step on the pathless land. So it is written, and so it shall be. For what once was, it will be. And on that day I shall step on the pathless land, on the sands of infinity of that desert that crosses and touches between the world above and the worlds below. One day I walk the pathless land, leaving no trace, making no mark, changing no thing. One day all of me will dissolve in the darkness of that cave. One day it all ends. What's on the other side? Is it the city of pyramids? Or the annihilation of all? Of these matters nothing is written. No destiny ever traced.
Sorry to break the mood, but I was I was just going to try to do opening credits because there's a lot of people for ideas for the music that I got some of the inspiration from, and sometimes I even took a bar or a little germ of an idea. So with this one, I'll do them all at once so that we don't have to stop. But the first one was based on kind of like I had misunderstood. Janine said it was Peru, but I thought it was Middle East. So I went with Gurdjieff and Keith Jarrett and some kind of more Arabian sounds. And then for the second one, it's more kind of a little bit based on jazz, the Fire Breath. And this one, Through the Looking Glass, is the first few bars of a fellow that I know in California, Jimmy Accardi, and his friend E.J. Gold. They did a song based on the grace of God within each of us called The Clear Light. And so that was for that one. This one, Eye of the Needle, is I got lots of help and inspiration from Tim Minchin. I tried not to take anything verbatim, but Tim Minchin did a song called Quiet. So I used that for the Eye of the Needle. And then the one over there, it's like water. So I used, that's Mountain of Presence. I used a bit of inspiration from Smetana, I think is the Moldau. Smetana? Okay, thanks. And then Field of Possibility. That one is again kind of based on the idea of being one with the clear light but the possibilities starting in a place of silence and stillness, and kind of a descent from that place. And then the last one, Labyrinth, that's the Ariadne's thread, based on the myth. That one had some inspiration from a movie that I just saw recently called They Might Be Giants, with George C. Scott and Joanne Woodward from 1971, and the music was written by John Barry. And that's what you heard for the moment of focus, that little theme. That was John Barry. So, and you'll hear how it kind of comes in that. So, but it's mostly just influence. So it's, yeah. Hopefully I didn't steal outright, Okay, thanks.
And here are some words by Joyce Rupp. I wanted it, desired it greatly, yearned for its coming. But when it did come, I fought, resisted, ran, hid away. I said, go home. I didn't know the fire of God could be more than a gentle glow or a cozy consolation. I didn't know it could come as a blaze, a wildfire, uncontrolled, searing my soul, chasing my old ways, smoking them out. Only when I stopped running, gave up the chase, surrendered, did I know the fire's flaming as consolation and joy. Only then could I welcome the one whose fire I had long sought. This is through the looking glass. It seems to me that the church's focus on sin over the centuries has collided with the Jesus vision that declared that we are light. The culture, our culture in particular, driven by the economics of greed, seeks to undermine this vision. The message from the culture is not that we are light, not that we are connected to one another, not that we are connected to a larger light source, but that we are lacking, that we are alone, that we are in need of more stuff and different stuff and stuff that promises to light up our lives. It's all a lie, of course, but it keeps us running around in circles, avoiding the real light that is already within us. Rumi says it this way: the lamps are different, but the light is the same. Concentrate on the essence, concentrate on the light. The light streams towards you from all things, all people, all possible permutations of good, evil, thought, passion. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. This is the eye of the needle. It speaks to the descent into the dark places. I suspect that many of us run from dark places. And I don't think that the Judeo-Christian tradition has been comfortable with darkness either. I think it is a tradition that has associated darkness with sin or evil. So it's a place that we need to avoid or that we need to shun. which makes November really hard, doesn't it? Whereas the more earth-based spiritualities know that darkness itself is a haven. Who know that the darkness is the place where we mine for gold. They know that it is a place where the seed lies only dormant, waiting, waiting, waiting until it is time to rise again. So here are two poems, one by David White. The Well of Grief. Those who will not slip beneath the still surface on the well of grief, turning downward through its black water to the place we cannot breathe, will never know the source from which we drink the secret water, cold and clear, nor find in the darkness glimmering the small round coins thrown by those who wished for something else. Or maybe these words from Rilke. I love the dark hours of my being. My mind deepens into them. There I can find, as in old letters, the days of my life already lived and held like a legend and understood. Then the knowing comes. I can open to another life that's wide and timeless. So it is actually Janine who offered the poetry that we have been reflecting on today. She offered, however, only 2 lines for this morning's, for the next piece called Mountain of Presence. I'll add to that line an image from John O'Donohue. I would love to live like a river flows carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. And from Rumi, love is the water of life. Drink it with heart and soul. Or from Jesus, over in this image when he is speaking to the Samaritan woman who his tradition said he should be shunning and avoiding. But he said, I'm going to give you living water. And although she isn't given credit for it, she is in fact the first person to take that message and share it with her community. Though her story has mainly been swept under the carpet. Living water. This is field of possibilities. Matthew Fox suggests that the further we delve into a variety of religious traditions, the more we will understand our own. Buddhism says a lot about surrender and invites us to empty ourselves. Jesus says, the one who would save his own life will lose it. The one who loses it will save it. I think that the teaching of the Buddha helps us better understand the words of Jesus. They are both saying, let it go. And underneath this invitation is an invitation to trust that a gift, that a new possibility will be revealed. We are back to where we began. The labyrinth as a metaphor for the spiritual journey. The path into the middle is the shedding phase, letting go of what no longer serves us. The center, usually called illumination, is a place of receiving, and the way out is the return to the world, carrying with us the insights or blessings that we were given at the center. Janine writes, Ariadne's thread was painted for a Jungian workshop called The Sacred Path of Peace that used the Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur to symbolize the journey toward inward to transform the shadow. You entered the labyrinth to face it at the center, transforming its energy with acceptance and compassion, and then return empowered to give back your gifts to the community. In the myth, it wasn't a labyrinth that Theseus had to enter, but a maze. And he had to find his way back safely. And so Ariadne, who loved him, gave him a spool of twine or thread to unwind as he went in and to follow on his way out. Ariadne's thread in the workshop symbolized the connection to unconditional love and was used by participants to walk the path. Here at St. Andrew's, we have recognized that central to the spiritual journey, whether the ones that we make deep within inside ourselves or the ones that we make when we reach out for the purpose of transforming the world around us with healing, central to those words, to that journey, are those words curious, creative, and courageous. Ariadne's thread provides Theseus with the courage that he needs to make the journey. I'm wondering from whence we get our courage to make the journeys required of us. And let's face it, many of us cannot make that journey because we are afraid. As individuals, as churches, as cultures, we are afraid of transformation, very often afraid of healing because it will require a letting go. So my question would be this: what is it that you need to give you the courage to let go? What thread to a loving Creator, a community of support, a deeper connection to the mystery within? Let me begin by thanking Janine, first of all, for sitting beside me at the fall equinox event at St. Andrews. Thank you for being a doorway into such beauty and grace and light. Thank you, Janine. Thank you. Thank you. And for Tom Dietzel, who said, "Oh, am I going to create another soundtrack?" Yeah. So Tom is brilliant, as is Janine. The first soundtrack he created was for the show that we had hanging by Anne Ireland, and he met with her shortly before her death to hear of what inspired her to create those pieces. And it was so memorable, it's actually still on the website. And then this summer, when we hosted the Canadian Adventure photographic gallery with scenes from across the country, Tom chose 6 pieces, and he made it really fun. What he did was, he said, how about we have all 6 pieces up on the screen, and I'm going to start playing something, and everybody has to guess which piece it's for. It was brilliant. Thank you, Tom Dietzel.